Dooby-dooby-doo. Hello there. Are we streaming? Do we have some live sound? I do not know. Let's find out. Oh dear. Yes, I am. Hi, folks. It's me again, Old Man Grognard. And this is one of my live streams that is coming to you from where I am, wherever that is, which is right now, Oklahoma. Anyway, let's get some of the maintenance stuff out of the way first. As you know, I have written a book called When the Fat Orc Sings, a lumper's adventure, a fantasy book. I'd appreciate it if you check it out, and I hope you like it. You can check it out at this time at Amazon, amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, and soon possibly walmart.com. I will be working, as soon as I can get some physical books, I will be working on getting them into the stores, not just online. But it's a very good book, and pick it up. I also have a GoFundMe that is going on right now. I thought I'd update that a little. It's a GoFundMe basically to get enough money for me to go to WizardCon 2, so I can actually, this will be the official premiere of my book. I'll be there. I'll be at the table. I'll be signing them, that kind of thing. So to me, that's official. I mean, this soft launched beginning of December last year, but I wanted to do this is an official, hey, here it is. Okay. And that's what the GoFundMe's for. We're just about ready to reach about the halfway point and several people have contributed, and I appreciate it. The goal is 1,000, which will get me a plane ticket and enough money for food and such, and anything that happens that I have to take care of, I guess. Anyway, let's talk conventions, because I'm trying to get to that convention. I'm also I've got 3 conventions this year. I've got this one, WizardCon. I've got North Texas RPG Con as usual, and one in Denison, Texas, that I can never remember the name. I don't know. They just came out with a nice logo with a what was it, armadillo on it? Real cool. But they asked me to come at the end of June. Beginning of June, I'll be in North Texas. And in April, I will be at WizardCon. That will be fun. Okay, let's talk. Now, aside from North Texas and the other Texas Con, because I usually drive to those. I have no problem with that. It's a 3-hour drive down there from here, and I really have no problem with that. Not a bit of problem with that. But this one in Battle Creek, I have to fly. So I got to start thinking about how I want to do that. Once I get a ticket, once I get in there, because I learned a couple of years ago, I went out to see my friend Eric Tinkar out in Queens and my friend Jason. They're both in New York State. Eric is in New York City, and Jason's outside of New York City. And I learned that what I want, I've got something of a routine for flights now, sort of. I take 2 things. I take a personal and I take a carry-on. I don't take anything else. I don't check baggage, stuff like that, because I want to keep it light and I want to keep the stuff with me, because I'm afraid something's going to happen in that cargo bin. And losing things like a bag full of games and going to a gaming convention, that's kind of a problem. So now I'm thinking that, and also thinking weight. They allow you, a certain amount of weight, which is okay. Airlines will do that for weight for each bag. And I'm all for that. But I learned last time that I damn near broke my back because they were still under the limit for the airline, but it was American. But I was still trying to lug this stuff around. And I don't use suitcases like with the ones with the wheels and all that. I don't use those. Mainly because size, they're cracking down on the size. But anyway, so I got to think about what I'm taking. And this year it's going to be light, 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 I hope. Because you got to take your clothes and your toiletries and your medicines and then you got to take game stuff. And yeah, I'm taking a tablet too. I'm taking my iPad. Yes, I can put all this, I can put them all on an iPad or put them on a thumb drive and carry the iPad. But yeah, but I find physical works the best for me. But let me show you what I'm starting to think about to take. And first of all, here are some of the games. First of all, the usual stuff. Dice. Got to have dice. I've got to make character sheets for whatever I'm playing. That kind of thing, I don't mind putting on a thumb drive. If I go to a hotel and they got a place where I can print stuff out, I'll put the character sheets on there and just print out 10 or 20 and just do it like that. But I usually have them with me. May have pre-gens. I don't know. I don't like doing pre-gens. I just don't. My games are short enough or easy enough that I can get people to roll it right there. That's no problem. But this is what I'm trying to get my head around to take, because here, these two games I'm obliged to take. Gangbusters here, because I will be running Gangbusters. Mark Hunt will be there too, running Gangbusters, and maybe Don. Take my Gangbusters. Remember the old one? This is the first edition. This is the second edition. Because I'm obliged to run this, and also I will be obliged to running Ghostbusters at all the conventions, especially WizardCon, because this is going to be my game for their charity event, which is getting people like me who are special guests to run games. People pay. It's the only time I'm ever going to be a paid GM. People will pay to be in the game, and the proceeds will be donated to a local charity. And so I'm obliged to take that, and I will be running that. And aside from that, it's like, Glenn, don't you want to do any fantasy? Sure, I want to do fantasy. That's no problem. And so what else can I take? I could take my old school stuff. I got a lot of old school stuff down there, like Old School Essentials and Labyrinth Lord and, basic first edition, second edition. But once again, I'm going to keep it down. I am seriously thinking of take or not take this. This is my D&D rule cyclopedia. Yes, I made the cover. Liz Stewart always wants me to bedazzle it, but I will not bedazzle it. But yes, it is. See, it is a rule cyclopedia, and it's an original rule cycle. This is not a reprint. This is the main deal. I made this out of old pair of my jeans, and I put a pocket in front because in the front I can carry all sorts of stuff. I've got like mini character sheets here. Mostly, I've got like 20 of them, so that might be in favor of me taking that. I've got a couple of things here. I've got a world map here, which I have to redo really. And I always carry with me one of the dungeons, sample dungeons out of the appendices of these games, because I can roll a dungeon here. For some reason, I don't have it in here. I used to have the Frank Mincer dungeon out of the Beckme series, but I don't know what happened to that. I'll have to look for that. But seeing as I got these cards here, and if I can print more of them, I'll use these as my fantasy game for the convention. And they fit right in there, like so. Okay, that's one. But also, if I want to do a fantasy game and the weight's getting to me, I will swap it out for this Osric. I stopped taking my 1E books a long time ago because if I can take one book as opposed to three books, I'll do it. So this may go with me. Yes, I'll need my glasses to read it, but that's okay. It's just a con, and it's got everything I need in here. Good book. And it's a little wonky on the corner there, but anyway, those are the things that I'm dealing with right now. Now, if I'm doing gangbusters, which I am, you've got, it's just not the games. That's the thing. When you're traveling, it's not the games. It's all the stuff you need to run the game, like miniatures, maps, things like that. Okay, a long time ago, let's say start with miniatures. I don't use miniatures. A long time ago, I converted to tokens. Remember in 4th edition, and I think 5th edition now, they have the tokens that you use on the VTTs, but you can also print them out. They used to sell them. I got a whole big box of them from secondhand half price books. And I've been using those, and I made my own out of washers. And I tend to use them my own. I also got a couple of sets of like chips, like they look like tiddlywink chips of different colors. And so if I'm say running an encounter with 6 goblins, I'll take the one goblin, picture token, and the rest of them will be the chips that I could write on with like a Sharpie or a wet erase or dry erase marker. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that kind of thing. Anyway, I carry that. Okay. Maps. I do not carry a battle map with me. And technically, I don't. But this is something I should have yanked. But maybe I'll do it tonight. I got to do vlog of many things tonight. So I'll show it on there. There's something called Noteboard. And I have 2 of these. And they're foldable. Like you pull them out. It looks like somebody laminated a whole bunch of index cards with map stuff. One side's blank. The other side's got hexes and graph. So you can use that. I bought 2 of these. They're getting to be a little hard to find. I think the company's called Statties or something like that. But what happened was they were a German company who had a California base warehouse in California. They had, they could put stuff out there, and they put that out. They closed that about 5 years ago and moved everything to Germany. So now it's going to be harder to get. I paid like 10. One I paid 10 for, and by the time I got the second one, it was up to 15. They are up to about $31 now because they give you the map and 4 wet erase markers. I could use without the markers, but it's like $31. But at the same time, I can game anywhere with that kind of stuff. As long as I get the pens, and I'm going to be bringing some pens. See, that's the kind of thing that takes things up, tchotchkes and stuff like that you have to use. So that's the kind of thing you have to think about. And if you're flying, you really got to think about it, as I say. So this is what I'm thinking. But because like the other 2 cons, I can pile whatever the hell I can get in my car and do that. I usually even take a ice chest. So that kind of thing can never go on a plane. At least the ice chests we have, the size we have, cannot go on a plane. And my personal stuff, But it's funny because it's really gotten to think of me. I haven't had a regular game, face-to-face game in a long time. But cons, and if I'm flying, it makes me think about it, which is good because maybe I can apply that to when I do get a regular face-to-face game again. So I think about that because I may or may not be playing in my home. I don't know. I have two backpacks. One I will only use for the Texas cons because it's a little too big. That's the like set up for gaming. It's got place for books and the miniature and all that kind of stuff. But the other one will get me by, because I really got to think about that. And of course, I've got my iPad. I'll have stuff on there too, plus my soundboard. That's real important for stuff like Gangbusters, Ghostbusters. It's important to me. I mean, I have a lot of other stuff I'd love to take. I mean, I see my Marvel Superheroes Face Rip Advanced box over there. I'd love to take that. But, you got to think about this. Because last time I flew, which was over to see Eric, I had to run games. I was obliged to run games because, I was staying with Jason, then I was staying with Eric. I was obliged to run games, and I ran in one day, I should say. I ran a Hyperborea session, a Gangbusters session, and a Ghostbusters session. So I had to have all that stuff with me. And even just taking like the Hyperborea stuff. Last time I talked to Eric, he said, look, I'm going to be there too. So if you need Hyperborea, just let me know. I'll bring my books because since now that one he can drive too. And he said, I'll just bring my Hyperborea books and you use those. I said, okay, fine. That cuts down the weight right there. But these are the kind of things you got to think of when it's con season. How do you want to move? How do you want to pack? And I have really yet to have a problem. But the only problem I'm going to have soon is trying to dig up the tokens I have for Gangbusters, because I made some black and white tokens for Gangbusters that I use. They're kind of like, I printed them out and I glued them, but, well, they're getting a little rough around the edges. Let me put it that way. Rough around the edges, yeah. Oh, boy. But those are the kind of things you got to think about. Yeah. Those of you who can go to cons, who are going to cons, people go to a lot more cons than I do. I usually just get one a year. And now we're retired. I don't even know if I'm going to get that next year. This year, I'm special guest at these 3 cons, so they give me a badge, they comp me the room. All I have to do is get there. So, and I hear sometimes they want you bad enough, they'll get you a plane ticket or something. But this time, I'm trying to raise the money myself. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we're almost about halfway through the goal for several people who have given to me. I appreciate that down to my feet. I really do. And I'm probably going to end this around the last week in March. So I have time to see what I got, what can I get and that's get ready for the con, get ready to go to the con things. And I've also said that anyone who contributes $50 or more, I will send them an autographed book, my book. I will send them my book. I'll autograph it and send it to them. I've already got about 5 people I'm going to do that with. So, like I said, give what you can. I'm not expecting people to do 50 or more all the time, but if you can, that'd be great. And that's a thank you. It's a thank you. And also, some people, they will be going to these cons. And what I can do is if you gave any kind of amount to me, 5, 10, 20 bucks, whatever, and you're going to the con, you will have a seat at my table. You will play if you want to play automatically. Automatically. So there's kind of that thing. I've been down in the dumps lately, mainly because we've been snowed in. It's Oklahoma, so Oklahoma gets kind of like they're on the edge. You know what I'm saying? They get like a day or 2 of snow. We've got the weekend of snow, and it's melting off as we speak. At the end of the week, it might be melted off because we went down to the single digits over the weekend, and it's been going up ever since. I think it's what's the temperature right now? Temperature right now is 39 degrees, and it's probably going to stay there. So it's going to be in the 30s, so not so warm. The rest of the week, we're going to get into the 40s and 50s. So that stuff is going to melt off. It's still going to be brisk. I mean, it is winter. I always told people it's like ever since I moved to like Oklahoma, where I can actually have to deal with winter, because I'm from California. But I always tell people, it would be nice if winter ended right after New Year's. We got winter, we got the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, and then spring or something. That would be nice, but that never happens. And we're going to have to let's see, this is end of January. Yeah, end of January. We're going into February, but around March, we're going to have to start dealing with tornado season. And, people at North Texas are always surprised to see me because they said, oh, you didn't get swept away by the tornado. And it's like, well, you people in Texas have tornadoes too. So there's that. What am I going to run? That's a good question. Ghostbusters and the charity game, and I'll run Ghostbusters again. I mean, after the charity game, but that's why I have to take that, and I don't mind taking it. I just got to think about the weight. But my games are kind of simple. I try to keep it simple, and I like to run games that are easy to run. Ostrich may be a little, it's 1E, but I started on 1E. I know 1E. I know, like BX Beckme and 1E, like the back of my hand. And so Ghostbusters, I will probably be running something that a friend of mine wrote. Dave, thanks. Snyder. Tim Snyder. Dave, where did I get Dave? Tim Snyder, thank you very much for those. And I will be doing that. Gangbusters, I've got about 5 scenarios that I can run that I've run before. So this is a new con. Everything is new. Hoo-ha. And so there's that. I'm seriously considering running one which I ran last year at North Texas. If it bleeds, it leads. Now, that game, when I created it, didn't exactly turn out the way I thought it was going to, but it's still a good game. It's a very political game. Not political like now. Oh, my God. I go to conventions to get away from that crap. But this is more like Tammany Hall type games, where you got the alderman, you got the big boss and everything, the whole Chicago type thing. And that turned out really well. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I also have a couple more. One I got, there's one called Shine on Harvest Moon, Shine, because it's about moonshine. How the Black Hand, which is the basic mob in Rock Junction, is getting their booze from like hillbillies in Kentucky, where they're getting them to brew this stuff, and they, and there's like a murder mystery going on there and all that kind of stuff. What else? I've got one that was really popular was Ring of Fire. Ring of Fire, because I see every time I write a Gangbusters game, I look up there where all my movies and all my DVDs and Blu-rays are. And it's like, okay, what genre? I know what genre it is, but what type of game do I want? And that one, it's like, I want to do a boxing game about a boxer, like Champion and, that kind of thing, or Raging Bull, not Raging Bull, but you know what I'm talking about. Heart and Soul, that kind of thing. And that one turned out really well. I've had more hits than misses on Gangbuster, which is, I can only think of one. The one I got to work on. Let me put it that way. But there's another one I also did called Contented Cows, ? And it was based on the radio station in town and some serial killer who was trying to get revenge on people who sent him up. He broke out of prison, da da da. So that thing. The one I want to work out on is called The Blow Off. And what the blow off is, it's more like I don't want to say it's a hex crawl, but it's basically the circus comes to Rock Junction. And if you have a circus settlement background, if you have a circus there, that gives you you can have 2 or 3 things going on. I like that because, here's what's going on. Which one are you guys going to get involved in? I don't tell them that, but it's let's see where they go. Okay. Because the other ones are kind of very linear, sort of. Even a linear game. To me, even a linear game. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Nice to see you, my friend over the pond there. And I'd like to, cold here too. You're probably got it worse than I do. Oh boy. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Can I rewind the tape and maybe I can understand what I was going to say? Gangbusters is it just, I love it because I'm a cinematic guy, as you can tell. I get my inspiration from movies and TV, and there's nothing wrong with that, really. So, when I sit down to a Gangbusters game, it's like that one last year really had me on the ropes. I mean, for 2/3 to 3/4 of the year, it's like, what am I going to do? I gotta submit something. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, I could repeat it. I don't want to repeat those. I want to do an original. And also that's I end up now. I used to be, I'd run a Gangbusters game and I'd be done for the weekend, and I'd just play in other people's games. But now it's like the Gangbusters thing has gotten so popular. I end up running it more than once. 2 years ago, I ran that. It was a Ring of Fire 3 times. Last year, I ran the one I had twice. And running it twice is easy. And that's a good thing. That way, more people get to do it. And what was a surprise at North Texas last year is somebody else was running Gangbusters. Unless Mark Hunt was there, which he wasn't. He only came once. But unless he's there, I was the only other guy who was running Gangbusters. I was the only guy. And some other guy did a Gangbusters game. And I was so excited. And he ran it, and I got to sit in on it for about an hour or so. I just sat in on it. I didn't play in it, but I sat in to watch. And he did this really thing about the, like the Black Sox, the baseball around Chicago and things like that. And it was really good. And I talked to him at the bar like that night, and he actually pumped me a little information on how you do this kind of thing, because he was new at it and he was excited. And I'd love to see more than that. I hope somebody else will be running Gangbusters at these cons. Lord knows I try. I'm also excited to go to Wizard Cons because there are people up there that I don't get to see down in North Texas because they're up there. And a lot of the old TSR guys, they're passing away. And Battle Creek is closer to those guys because they used to come to North Texas, but a lot of them, Tim Cass, before he passed, he stopped the last 2 years. He didn't come, but he used to come all the time. Frank Menser used to come until he finally said, no, I'm just going to do the stuff around my area. Because, you get up. I mean, sometimes I wonder if I'm too old to fly or travel or anything. Okay. But I don't get to see those people. It's like, if Frank, I'll bet Frank's there, and I'm saying, hey, Frank, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a dog's age. Man, oh, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing, and maybe people I've seen on the internet that I don't get to see Anyway, so I'm kind of excited about that. It's a little bit out of my, it's a little bit out, not out of my wheelhouse, but it's just a little bit out of my comfort zone. And sometimes I need to be knocked out of my comfort zone. My wife's good at that. But so there's that. And as far as like I said, I was having a hard time with gangbusters, but now that I have a backlog of scenarios I can run, I don't worry about that as much. Every once in a while I'll come up with one. One I always wanted to come up with, but I couldn't figure out how to do it and not have firearms in the game, because I kind of wanted to do stuff like they're all teenagers. It's like the Bowery Boys or the East Side kids, East End kid, you know, that Dead End kids or Bowery Boys or something like that. But they wouldn't have firearms. Maybe a zip gun or I don't know, a slingshot. Hey, so there's that. I have a feeling that I have to scale it really down if I do it that way. I can't do the old, you know, gangland war type of thing, because that kind of they mostly wouldn't have guns. It'd be dangerous, and also that kind of the feeling of it is different than a regular thing like that. So this is what I got. I'm looking forward to it. It's still a couple months away. I'm starting to think about what I want to take and how I want to take it. My wife thinks I'm, you know, it's 2 months away. What are you doing now for? Well, why not? I mean, you know, it's not like I'm going to be packing or anything right now. Although at one point I should do a practice packing and see what I got and see what I want, so I can, you know, set what I want, pack it up, see what it looks like. How hard is it going to be carried? Will it fit this? Will TSA let it, you know, that kind of thing. The only thing I'm worried about TSA is my iPad, which has flown before, but I hear they're cracking down on stuff. But a lot of people take that kind of iPad. It's the iPad Pro 12.9 that Eric gave me. Thank you, Eric, again. And, you know, because they lithium ion batteries on everything. I will be taking a power brick. This one I won't be taking, even though it's an Anchor, but this one I will be taking, because you can see the stats on the other side. This has got the stats on it, but look at that. You can, so I had to have my glasses and a magnifying glass to read that one. So that one stays, because they got to verify the wattage on these things. But if this gets confiscated, it gets confiscated. You know, what am I going to do? You know, I can always get another one at you know, where I'm going. So I worry about that, and I worry about my meds. See, I have one of those weekly pill separators, and I take about 8 prescription meds. And I don't want to have to take the bottles, because that's 8 bottles I got to carry around. It's so easier to do that, but I may have to. Because they want to see the labels. They want to see, does this match with this and things like that. And it's like, okay, all right, I'll take a big baggie, a gallon baggie, and put them all in there, and the weekly thing, because that's the only way I can keep track of it. But those are the only 2 things I'm worried about, that and the luggage size, and I think I got that nailed down. So, you know, that's that. I would get up and go to the closet and show you some of this stuff, but I am wearing my thermals right now, and I don't want to get up. If I was wearing my pants, that would be another story, but I'm wearing my thermals right now. I'm nice and cozy and comfortable, and I get to work at home. I'm probably going to work on my next book after I get off of here. I have a second book coming. I mean, we've got When the Fat Orc Sings here, but I wanted to make a series. You did hi, Terry. How are you? Dave, you did a Bugsy Malone game? God, I remember that movie. I must have seen that movie about a half a dozen times when it was out, and I had the soundtrack. At the time, I was in community college in a radio class, which had a radio station at the, you know, broadcast just around the campus. But I must have played that 2 or 3 times. I can't look at it anymore. Maybe I can. I don't know. It's been decades since I've seen it. I have a thing about movies. If I really, really love a movie, I don't watch it all the time. For instance, I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Saw it when it first came out, seen it on DVD, seen it on Blu-ray, seen it, see, I've got a 4K version. And I don't watch it all the time. And one time somebody asked, well, why don't you watch it all the time, Paul and Terrence? Because I don't want to stop liking it. Because after a while, you get just so sick of seeing it that you don't want to see it anymore. Chinatown. Chinatown is another movie I saw when it first came out, and I've seen it at least 50 times, but it sits on my shelf, and every once in a while, I'll pull it down and watch it. So that's basically where I stand with the movies, as far as that goes. And yeah, Bugsy Malone game, that probably was something. Dave says, yeah, I can't watch films more than once or twice, except for a handful I love. Exactly. I mean, maybe I can. I don't know. Let's see if I can turn this around. Here is my schedule, my shelf that I see. It's four shelves full of movies. See, this is what it looks like. And there's some choice stuff on there. You know what I'm saying? Choice stuff. It's wiggly because I'm little shaky. Probably should have had something to eat. The second one down is my grindhouse section, which is all these kind of public domain and other kind of things you watch it, because I love digging through those. I love digging through those because you never know if you're going to find gold. And the top one is all Criterion collection. And so that's pretty much what I got. You got it? That's what I got, and that's what I work on. And also over there, I've got a bookcase type of thing with all my box sets. I do have some complete. They're usually box sets and TV shows. Go over there. Like I've got an old Norman Wisdom film, The Square Peg, now has a trigger warning on it because it mocks the Germans. Oh my goodness. Really, Dave? Oh my gosh. I've seen some of Norman Wisdom stuff, and it's like, God, come on. I mean, what I hated was, like, I've got the Looney Tunes Golden Collection. I got all six volumes, and like after the second or third one, they started doing, well, this was, this exclaimers, this was done at this time. We're not going to censor it because just be careful. And I've got those metal ones up there are the Walt Disney Treasures, and I've got all the Mickeys, all the Donalds, all the Goofies, and a couple other different things. I even got the Oswald the Rabbit one. But now you pull down something like, I don't know, Mickey Mouse in black and white, 1 or 2 or something like that. You're going to see everything that they put out in that volume, that section of time. But there are like going to be 3 or 4 of them that aren't going to be there, but they'll be in the bonus section. They're like the ones that they, like, oh my gosh, they're this is like the banned ones on YouTube. They're just the ones that people like, oh, they're showing, this is a jungle picture. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They're showing Nazis. They're showing Japanese. Blah, blah, blah. And each of them has Leonard Maltin explaining this, and this. And you can fast forward it, but you can't get past it because they're worried about that. I find those funny after a while. I think the 3rd volume of the Looney Tunes one has Whoopi Goldberg doing all of them. But that kind of stuff gets old, but at least you got the movies. You know what I'm saying? You got the movies. And nobody's going to cut them up. And that's what makes me happy. But that's my inspiration for games right there, right above me. So I may do that tonight too. But like I said, I got box sets over there. I can. I was just watching Abbott and Costello last night. I've got all of their films except for Dance with Me, Henry, which was their last film. I don't think I'm interested in that. But I've got all the Laurel and Hardy films. I've got all the Three Stooges shorts, the Dick Van Dyke Show, the Red Green Show, Boris Karloff's Thriller, Twilight Zone. What else? M Squad, The Untouchables, Nero Wolfe, The Untouchables. I'm talking about the old. I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about like the old black and white Untouchables. Those are great fodder for gangbusters because it's set in the right time, and a lot of plots are really good, really good. I've also got like Prisoner, Secret Agent Man. Sorry, always want to say Secret Agent. No, it's Danger Man, which is Secret Agent here in the U.S. Those help. Anything that will give me an idea of, oh, maybe I can adapt that into gangbusters. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? Anything like that, I'm all for. I'm all for. And even there's some obscure stuff there called like I think it was. I got three. I got. I just can't think today. I guess. I want to say Johnny Bravo. No, I don't have Johnny Bravo. I want. Oh well, I got one called Johnny Staccato, which is a guy who's a jazz musician and a detective at the same time, and that's pretty good series. You know, there's a lot of stuff. I got Naked City. I got the movie up there, and I got the series down there. Something else. What do we got? Dave said, I watched every episode of Bonanza, stole lots of plots. Yes, Westerns are great for whatever genre, especially in fantasy. I've ran real Bravo before in fantasy, and it works well. Danger Man, yeah. Danger Man and the Prisoner. He says, I do that with the Hornblower from A&E and Cyrano de Bergerac. Yeah, you know, believe it or not, you can get stuff out of Shakespeare and other guys like Cyrano de Bergerac, things like that. I know somebody's already published a Hamlet. Professor Dungeon Master did a Hamlet version, a D&D version, or an RPG version of Hamlet. I hear it's really good. He also did Frankenstein, a version of that. So the classics are good too. I don't mind the classics. I kind of like the one that I ran, Contented Cows, because it was really more of a detective thing where people were getting poisoned and they had a radio show, the Singing Milkman, and people were getting poisoned in their home, but it was a pattern. They had to figure out what the pattern is and how to stop them. And I like to structure those kind of stories where, okay, find the clues, and I will make it very easy for them to find the clues if they're paying attention. Even if they're not paying attention, I like the Alexandrian version of you give them 3 clues for everything, three ways to discover it for everything, because that way, if nobody gets it, your game doesn't stop. Your game doesn't stop. Yes, Danger Man is good, but I also like The Prisoner. Also, Dave, Danger Man. See, Prisoner and Danger Man made me a real Patrick McGowan fan, especially when I read about his, what he went through. He was. I can't believe this. He worked with Orson Welles, the Mercury Theater, at one time. And it's interesting because he's an American who moved to Great Britain, basically became a Brit, from what I understand. And one of my favorite old Kinescope TV movies is Rod Sterling's is Requiem for a Heavyweight. I got it up there with Jack Palance and things, and I love that. I don't like the movie version, but I love the Jack Palance thing. But from what I understand is, since it was live TV, they wanted to do it over in the BBC, but they had to do their own version because they didn't have the one was broadcast live, and they didn't have the Kinescope at the time. So Patrick McGowan played the boxer. He played the Jack Palance part, Mountain McCoy or whatever the heck his name is. But that kind of blew me away, and it just fascinates me that kind of stuff. And he's a really, really good actor. The one thing I wish I would have got in those Disney treasures that you can't get it right anymore. Even on eBay you can't find it. Was the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, the Disney World of Color Dr. Sin, the Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, because he starred in it, and it's like, man, I want to see that. I want to get that. But like I said, it's been out of print for a long time, and I'm not made of money. I'm glad I got what I got. I think I still have Davy Crockett up there, so I'm thankful for that. But yeah, this is how I get fodder. You get other people read. The Appendix N exists for a reason, and you go that way. Fine, go that way. I mean, I've gotten some ideas. I've read Lovecraft. I've gotten some ideas from Lovecraft. I'm a big Sherlock. I like to read Sherlock Holmes. That's kind of my fiction right there. And if I can find it, Raymond Chandler, hard-boiled detective. Stuart Kaminsky's Toby Peters series. I followed that. It's like about 15 books out. The late Stuart Kaminsky, and he wrote such good detective, hard-boiled detective. Toby Peters worked in L.A. and famous stars from the 40s and 50s were always turning up. Either he was involved with them as far as like trying to solve a problem of theirs, or he'd run into them or something like that. And it was a lot of fun. It started with a book called Bullet for a Star. Go find Bullet for a Star. I guarantee you'll get hooked on that series. The first three, everybody remembers. First one was Bullet for a Star, which he works for Jack Warner over in Warner Brothers to basically, somebody's threatening Errol Flynn's life, and he has to follow around and solve that. Second one, it's a Murder on the Yellow Brick Road, where this took place like 5 years after they filmed Wizard of Oz at MGM, and they kept part of the setup, like the forest or the Munchkin, and they'd always have like a few little people where you can, special guests get their picture taken with them, that kind of thing. And somebody walks in one morning, and in the forest section, they find a Munchkin hung. And it goes from there, and he's got to figure it out. And the third one I like is called, I think it was You Bet Your Life or something like that, but it had to do with the Marx Brothers. Toby had to shadow the Marx Brothers and help them figure out somebody's going after Chico, because Chico was the big gambler of the brothers, and he owed money to nasty people. I think it was This Is Your Life. You Bet Your Life, I think it was called. But that one was good. Those are the first three. And he did, like I said, 15. He did one with Bela Lugosi I really liked. It was pretty good. But yeah, Stuart Kaminsky, I love that kind of stuff. I get inspirations from that too. I mean, my book is half that. Oh, the Ealing Studios films. Yeah, those were fun. I don't get to see very many of those. I know they're out there, but I don't know. I don't seem to run into them very often. Now, I've got the Hammer. I've got some of the Hammer. I've got all 6 of the Frankenstein films with Peter Cushing. I didn't get that one without him because I didn't think it was part of the series. But I got those. Hammer is good, but I'll tell you what, I love Universal Studios. One thing I like is Universal, I can get a set. Boom. That's it. And a few other ones I can. But Hammer is so hard to collect because if you look at it's like they had deals with different studios at different times, American studios at different times for distribution. And I just look at my Frankenstein films. It's like, let's see, one is Anchor Bay, two are Shout Factory, one's Warner Brothers, and I just can't. They won't come out. There's no one distribution for them. Let me put it that way. Oh, yeah, but I've also got the Horror Express, which is a good one. Yeah, he says. Dave says Friday night we turn the lights out and watch Hammer films. Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of people have that with the Universal films and others like that. And quite a few of the Grindhouse films up there, the Bridge Creek, no. Quite a few of them are like 50s horror films, sci-fi films. You get a lot of those. Highlight of the week, I can imagine, yeah. And, broadcast here in the 50s, even the 60s, they had horror hosts and packaged films that the station would buy and run those all the time. But I've got a whole kind of, it feels like in Grindhouse, sometimes it feels like I'm watching Elvira or somebody playing some kind of 50s horror film. And I also like all the old black and white ones that are up there from the 30s and 40s because they ran in about an hour and they did their job. But anyway, those were a lot of fun. And there's a lot of inspiration in there, And if you're any kind of a GM, you can take that and adapt it well enough so the players don't recognize it, at least not recognize it right off the bat. That's the good part. It's just, I don't do horror anymore. I used to run Call of Cthulhu. I don't have the talent for it. And to me, I don't exactly know. Horror to me is such a, I don't know, something that just doesn't seem as adaptable to role-playing games. You know what I'm saying? It's been done. I mean, look at Call of Cthulhu. I mean, the nice thing about one of the nice things and one of the bad things about Call of Cthulhu is it's got Lovecraft. It's got the Lovecraft, creatures and all that kind of stuff and the mindset. So the players are already set up for that. But anything beyond that, I couldn't do a slasher film as an RPG. I couldn't do that. It don't work for me. So I stay away from that genre. I like doing Westerns. I don't do Westerns very much. Like I said, I use it for fantasy, but I don't get to play or run Westerns hardly at all. I've got gangbusters. I've got fantasy. Everybody's got fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Terry says, when I was young, Sir Graves Ghastly was show for the old horror suspense. Ah, yes. The old horror hosts. Yeah, we had them. We had Elvira. We had, can't remember one in L.A. But he was kind of cool. He was kind of like a horror gangster. But he was good. And I keep saying Elvira because Vampira. Yeah, Vampira. And right now, MeTV's got Ghoulardi, which I am kind of frustrated with because I can't get also the Ghoul. Yes, I can't get MeTV. I want to watch Ghoulardi sometimes on Saturdays, and I can't just because it's fun. It's fun. Let's just say it's fun. if you guys ever want to come over here, I got a great big TV and a whole lot of movies. We can sit around and watch movies sometime. But you guys are all over the place. Anyway, well, I'm glad I did this. This cheered me up a bit. I get so worthless of myself and things, and I can't afford therapy. So I have this. Who needs therapy when you have YouTube? As long as I'm entertaining, I used to have a blog on Blogger that I shut down because I couldn't. I hardly ever. After a while, I hardly put anything on it. I said I will not do this blog if I can't be somewhat entertaining or informative, because I see so many junk blogs at the time where people just run off and stupid things what they're doing, or like cat and dog stuff. And it's like, no, I want it to give worth somebody's while to come in and read it. And same thing with this, when I do the videos and I do the live streams, I want to be able to connect and just give you something to talk with me about, like on here. Dave says, I love the D100, but hated Cthulhu Mythos lol. We ran it with more normal paranormal creatures, cultists incorporated. Hate the tentacle stuff. Okay, fair enough. But then again, if you want to do fantasy, there's always, RuneQuest, which is the same system. No, don't think about that. No. Be good, Glenn. Be good. Just you have get some self-esteem, okay? Come on. You got a book. Oh, you do play with RuneQuest. Cool. Nice, Dave. Very nice. But folks, you're dealing with somebody with low self-esteem, so I'm sorry. And hopefully I can get somebody to talk to. I don't know, but now we're getting into, I'm getting way off. You think the movies were off field? I'm getting way off field now. So I think my hour is up, and I'm just going to end it here. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. David, Terry, all you guys, fantastic. One more time. Here's my book. Please look at it. Maybe buy it. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Walmart. And my GoFundMe page, which is we got about halfway through. It's going to be running for a while. If you could contribute, I'd appreciate it. And all that information for the book and the GoFundMe is down in the area where people read the commentary, and things like that. But anyway, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And I will see you, tonight, Thursday? Yeah, Vlog of Many Things. I'll be there tonight. Thank you for coming. Terry, yeah. Would you do me a favor? Wherever you got it, if they let you leave a review, please put one there. Please. I would really appreciate it. Anybody who buys their book for like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or, offline, online, something like that, please leave a review after you read it. I appreciate it. I'll see you later, Dave. And time for me to go, folks. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.